think that nothing really exemplifies the big opportunity in crypto right now like the Bitcoin spot ETF. And I know it's something we've talked a lot about. We're going to continue talking a lot about it because it's probably one of the biggest narratives that has the potential to be that absolute spark that explodes the market. Because that's what we need right now. We need that new spark. Look, there's been a lot of money being made so far in 2023. Lots of money. Lots of little coins that pop off and do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100x, whatever. That's been out there. Those opportunities have been there. Definitely been the on-chain summer, as some people are calling it. But those opportunities for gains have been out there. But they've been small coins, something that a big institution can never ape into. They can't ape into $1 million market cap coin. Regular people can. We can throw a few $1,000 in and hope for the best. But when we talk about these big institutions, they need big liquidity coins, big market cap coins. And when that money starts flowing into the top at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I think we'll get Ethereum ETFs shortly after Bitcoin ETFs, especially if Grayscale wins their case, which a lot of people are putting the odds heavily in Grayscale's favor right now. We'll see, of course, how that plays out if they do actually win their case. But if Grayscale wins their case versus the SEC, that opens up the ability for them to launch a spot Bitcoin ETF. That ruling would likely apply to Ethereum as well, which means we get Ethereum ETFs very shortly thereafter, which means that all the world's big funds, all the retirement accounts, et cetera, can now all go out and ape into Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs. Now, it's been speculated that a Bitcoin ETF approval could bring $20 to $30 billion of buy-side pressure in for Bitcoin, which would basically gobble up every Bitcoin off of Coinbase, which is the chosen partner for all of these Bitcoin ETF products. Be basically all of Coinbase's Bitcoin. It would be about a third to half of all Bitcoin available on the market. Of course, at the current prices, when that kind of buy pressure comes in, prices are going to skyrocket. It's not going to take that much Bitcoin off the markets. People who've been dormant for a while will come in and sell their coins into the hype, et cetera. But you get the idea. It'll really change the markets. And if Bitcoin gets $20 to $30 billion worth of interest, what's Ethereum get? Half that, a third of that, a quarter of that? Because I'll tell you what, $5 to $7 billion of Ethereum buy pressure is going to move the needle a lot. Remember, supply is going down, decreasing all the time thanks to the burn. We have 21 million Ethereum staked in the staking contract. Supply side crisis for ETH is already here. All we need, again, is that little spark, and it'll send markets going crazy. Now, on that Bitcoin ETF news, Global X has filed an application to list a spot Bitcoin ETF. Welcome to the party, guys. Yet another Bitcoin ETF application has gone in. But why are Blackrock and other companies pushing deeper into crypto? What is the opportunity that they are seeing? Well, they see it as, of course, a significant revenue opportunity. The world's largest asset manager is planting a flag in the ground and saying it believes Bitcoin will matter for the next 5 or 10 years. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink also talking about Bitcoin, saying it could revolutionize finance and that he wanted to make it cheaper for investors through an ETF. Good old Larry Fink, our friend, our good pal Larry Fink, just wants to help out the regular retail, the small guy. You know, this is what BlackRock has always been here for, you, the little guy. BlackRock's always watching out for you, making sure that you can get ETF products at the best available price. Yeah, if you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you guys. Nevertheless, BlackRock is getting involved in the game. And of course, the potential for BlackRock to really shake things up is massive beyond belief for a variety of reasons, not just that BlackRock controls $10 trillion worth of assets, not just Larry Fink, one of the most powerful men in finance, is out there, well, pumping up our Bitcoin bags to his audience of people, of managers and institutional investors and family offices and all this kind of stuff. BlackRock sees the potential to get the ka-ching from listing these ETF products, but also to start locking up massive percentages of the supply so that they can run their usual price manipulation tactics, just like JP Morgan has been doing in the metals markets forever, just like, of course, BlackRock does for a lot of different things. So to see BlackRock involved, they go with a grain of salt, if you will. Also, I liked this chart here. I want to share it with you. So this is BlackRock's top 25 equity holdings. Remember that old saying, BlackRock, they own everything. They own the world. Well, it's true. They have gigantic stakes in a huge amount of companies, enough power in these companies that they can get a lot of what they want as top shareholders. So, for example, they have $170 billion worth of Apple stocks, $155 billion worth of Microsoft stocks, $51 billion worth of NVIDIA, $62 billion worth of Amazon. Now, what happens? Tinfoil hat theory, potentially, or just a theory. Maybe not one tinfoil hat for this one. What happens? BlackRock gets their Bitcoin ETF approved. And then BlackRock starts going to all these companies. Hey, your cash is trash. You guys know your cash is trash. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. These are some of the companies with some of the biggest piles of cash in the world. They have tens to hundreds of billions of dollars, depending which company we're talking about. What happens when they get that call from Larry Fink saying, hey, look, we got a Bitcoin ETF now. You got all that cash sitting there. It's not doing anything for you. Why don't you put it into our Bitcoin ETF? And he'll start going through the numbers. Look, Bitcoin's outperformed year over year, blah, 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 blah. The usual kind of spiel that we make all the time, but the Larry Fink is now making. What happens if Apple puts $1 billion into Bitcoin? It's nothing for Apple. It's like 1% of their cash, if even. That creates a mania because suddenly Apple bought Bitcoin. Is Microsoft going to miss out? No, Microsoft's going to have to buy some Bitcoin too, and so on and so forth. And then you have a rally fueled by these giant war chests of these mega corporations. It's a possibility when you consider that BlackRock has a controlling stake in, not controlling stake, I should say a stake that has major influence in a large percentage of these companies. Also, let's do some more fun moon math here. This is the gold ETF, well, top 5 gold ETFs. So SPDR has about 60 billion, iShares close to 30 billion, VanEck around 13 billion, rounding up on a few of these, VanEck around 4 billion, and SPDR gold mini shares 6.3 billion. A lot of money. Top 5 gold ETF products together, they account for over $100 billion. Gold, obviously, it's a bigger market, but then you also have to account for all the gold that's being used for jewelry and for bullion and central banks and all that kind of stuff. So $100 billion of ETF products alone, pretty big deal. Gold, I like gold, but it's not that exciting. It's kind of boring. It's kind of, boomer metal stuff, right? What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin comes out. We get ETF products. It's exciting. It's new. It's fresh. It's cool, right? Remember, the estimates are 20 to 30 billion in buy-side pressure for Bitcoin when we get an ETF product released. There's a lot more excitement around Bitcoin than there is around gold. And if gold can have 100 billion plus, all those numbers for the top 5, it up closer to around 110 billion. Seeing $20 billion flow into Bitcoin ETFs is not crazy at all. It's only 20%. And I know the market cap of gold is much higher compared to this market cap of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's $500 billion, gold's 12, 13 trillion. So it's not exactly a like for like comparison here, but you get the idea of the big potential. Because if gold can capture 100 billion plus, Bitcoin can capture 20 billion. I don't think it's crazy at all to think that that's a very real possibility. By the way, if you're not signed up to the Wealth Mastery newsletter yet, you're straight up missing out on opportunities in this market. Every single week, my team and I work hard. We spend about probably 40 hours a week writing this newsletter so that you can get the latest that's happening in the market, the most important news happening in the market, the latest updates on DeFi, altcoins, altcoin alpha, NFTs, airdrops. Some of the airdrops we've covered have literally made thousands of dollars for investors. All you had to do was open up our free newsletter, click a few buttons, bada bing, bada boom. It is value-packed, full of alpha, so check it out. It's free. Link in the description. You can go to thewealthmastery.io. Again, that is thewealthmastery.io. Also, want to point out we do have a altcoin review of WorldCoin. So for those of you looking for a bit more information on OpenAI's, well, it's not OpenAI's, but Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, also the founder of WorldCoin. If you want a little more information on that, no, go and check it out. We got that over on the website now as well. Now let's look at the Bitcoin ETF timeline here. So the ARK Bitcoin ETF, it is going to have its second deadline coming up August 13th. So that's next week. Most likely that gets delayed. There's always the, off chance that, hey, the SEC wakes up and feels we're in a good mood today. Let's just approve this Bitcoin ETF by ARK. Let's put a big old thumb up our nose here to Blackrock and say, we're going to give ARK the Bitcoin ETF first, and you're just going to have to wait, Blackrock. Does that sound like the most likely scenario to you? It's possible, but not the most likely scenario. It's BlackRock, guys. Come on. But what's interesting, check this out. Second deadline here. Look at all these ones that fall right in October. iShares, October 17th. Bitwise, October 16th. VanEck, October 17th. WisdomTree, October 17th. Invesco, October 17th. Wise, October 17th. Valkyrie, October 19th. Pretty interesting stuff, isn't it? Maybe October will end up being the big month for Bitcoin. Now, often summer months, by the way, summer for Northern Hemisphere, winter for us in the Southern Hemisphere, of course, but winter, summer months, just say July and August. July and August tend to be pretty boring months in general for markets. September as well tends to be a bit of a boring month. October, November, December, everyone in the Northern Hemisphere is inside because the weather is cool and they're all aping into tech stocks. They're all aping into crypto coins. Those tend to be very exciting months in the markets. Imagine if we get a spot Bitcoin ETF approved in October. It'll be quite the end to the year if that is the case. Could happen. Could happen. Again, historically, August, September, quieter months. October, November, December, more exciting months. So we'll see what happens if that plays out again this time. Also, want to share this chart here with you from Stock Money Lizards. Looking at Octobers, we tend to see some big moves in October. Again, this is just based on the month, right? And this isn't the best way to predict markets by any means, but it is interesting that we do have these parallels that do tend to form up a bit in markets. We may not get too much exciting happening before a Bitcoin ETF is approved. We may not have that much exciting before the Bitcoin halving even next year. Even if we do get a Bitcoin ETF approved, maybe, hey, it's still just too quiet. Everyone's a bit too pessimistic on Bitcoin, and we're over predicting the impact of an immediate impact of Bitcoin ETF. So we'll see. But hey, it's interesting to point out that yes, markets do tend to do well at those times of the year. Also, want to point out this one here for you too. And this is actually a very interesting one. It's from the Rational Root on-chain supply distribution. So we can see we've had huge amounts of coins trading hands at certain price points. For example, we had huge buying coming around $16,500. That's the November 2022 bottom. It is one of the biggest on-chain supply distribution dates. Then we come up to 26, 27, 28, 30, $31,000. This is the biggest base of Bitcoin. This is where a huge percentage of the coins have traded hands. And as the Rational Root points out, the market is very bottom heavy right now. Now that works for and against us. Works against us if we have a terrible market crash, because a lot of people might just take big losses on their coins, get out, etc. And it means there's a huge amount of supply right in this area that could be dumped at a loss if people start freaking out. The flip side is that if we get even the tiniest spark of enthusiasm coming back into the market, we have the potential to rally big time, because there's not a lot of resistance overhead in terms of previous prices that Bitcoin has changed hands at. So the on-chain supply distribution for higher prices is very, very small. Most of that money that bought over 50K, for example, already capitulated. So going up, there's not a lot of price resistance. There's no massive areas where there's just going to be huge amounts of people looking to sell and get out of their coins at break even. The biggest one is probably around $38,000. That's the biggest zone of where, well, about 1% of the supply, around $38,000 to $39,000, has changed hands. Significant, noteworthy. But after that, not a lot. $48,000 is less than 1% of coins that have changed distribution hands. After that, there's basically nothing, meaning that there's not a lot of sellers over those levels, forced sellers, right? People can come in from the bottom, take the profits, obviously, but there's not this giant cohort of people waiting to get out of break even. It's important to keep in mind, if you ask me. Now, one other thought here is this. We talk a lot about the cycle. We talk a lot about, well, how, okay, this is going to happen and this could happen and all predictions. No one knows the future. Obviously, me least of all. But we have this belief. Well, look, everyone knows about the Bitcoin cycle. Everyone knows about the 4-year cycle at this point, right? Everyone's predicting a big bull run coming in 24, 25. Everyone's calling for Bitcoin to top out at $150,000 or $180,000. Everybody's wrong. We're going to zero, baby. We're going to zero. Or we're going to $1 million. Opinions are divided, of course, on those two opposite ends of the spectrum. But here is the reality as I see it. If you're here now listening to this broadcast, you're the last of us. I know that on-chain activity has stayed very high. I know that stacking has remained very strong. That's simply because more people stuck around during the bear market compared to the 2018, 2019 bear market. But if you're here now, you're at a time when volume is dead. Volatility is the lowest it's ever been. Volume is some of the lowest it's ever been. Only the hardcore believers are left stacking Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever top coins, Chainlink, et cetera, et cetera. Retail's not here. Everyone doesn't know yet. They will. They will. They'll find out. They'll figure it out. They'll come back for exit liquidity. They'll buy the top and sell the bottom for the next cycle. This massive slowdown in volatility, the massive slowdown in volume, again, the market is a powder keg right now. And it's not going to take a lot for an insane move in this market for things to either pump or dump in a very dramatic fashion, as it probably will happen. Obviously, we're hoping for the upside based on everything that we've been discussing here. But you never know. We are the last of us. We are the survivors of the 2022 bear market, the 2023 start of something new, hopefully.